Hello everyone and Merry Christmas. It's the episode 13 of the Vinylmation Kingdom Webcast. And we're going to do things a little bit different here today because basically there has been very little news this week. Basically as the weeks get closer to Christmas, we haven't had any new releases this week. It's a very rare one. However, this week I've got a different idea for what I'd like to do and talk about. This week I started to write a column about Vinylmation as a whole in 2014 and what's changed. And earlier in the week I sort of put out a question to our Facebook group and also on the Facebook page, etc., asking the very same question of how has Vinylmation sort of changed and what's happened with Vinylmation in 2014. And it's kind of one of those things, if I sort of sit there and sort of was thinking about sort of Vinylmation in 2014, I couldn't help but think things have changed quite a lot. Going into 2014 at the beginning of the year, there was lots and lots of changes that came into foot. We had smaller case sizes, smaller boxes. We had smaller limited edition sizes. Sort of new series had sort of smaller runs. There was less sort of happening in terms of that. There was less releases, and just overall there was just a lot less, because the reason for this was very simple. Was Disney kind of got maybe a little bit too greedy with Vinylmation in the past, and released way too much, way too quickly, and saturated the market, which resulted in basically the outlets and the DisneyStore.com and the stores all selling Vinylmation for very cheap, and everyone just started waiting because you knew it was going to end up getting sort of reduced in price. Often sort of new sets were down to like $2 of vinyl, and gradually, that wasn't sustainable long term. So over the years, the last sort of 18 months to years, there's been a real gradual sort of slowdown on how much has been released, but also how much of each figure they've released. So we've had things sort of sell out a lot better, and that's one of the big things really I sort of feel like with 2014, that the Vinylmation as a whole seems to be in a bit of a stronger position from that point of view. Things are a lot tighter, things are sort of either selling out very quickly, or if they do end up being reduced, they're not around too long because they didn't make too many of them. You only have to look on DisneyStore.com and you can see the real difference. We're now under 20 items available. Now, a few years ago, we were close to 200 items available. That shows you how much they've retracted. The outlets, if you look at the recent pictures of what's available in the outlets, half of those items are still the same vinyls that were sat there a year ago. Yeah, new items come in, but they don't hang around very long because there's not as many of them. So on one side of things, Vinylmation has really retracted down, and I think is in a stronger position because of that. However, there are some issues that have come about after this. Because they burnt so many people changed their mindsets of how they collected. A few years ago, a lot of people used to just buy everything. Well, over the years, people got sort of used to the idea that you couldn't do that because there was too many releases and you just couldn't collect anything. Even I myself sort of started looking at things going, well, I can't buy everything, there's just no need to, and therefore I started cherry picking, and a lot of other people started doing the same. And once that happened, it changed the atmosphere, and also Disney just brought out too many, and that was one of the biggest problems. So over the years, when you've had things like the superheroes and all those kind of really bad sets, it sort of damaged down the brand. So I do think going into 2014, it does seem to be in a much stranger position. However, there's been a lot of other changes that have kicked in this year. For example, we saw the trade nights. Now, the trade nights in the actual parks really sort of calmed down. There was hardly any really that many. And we saw all those trade night eaches that were like limited edition 500, which all sold out really fast and showed there was a demand. But again, limited edition 500 with a variant changed things up a bit. People were really going mad for those variants and getting hold of a figure that is worth a lot of money. LE 500 was really good. It was exclusive to one location, and they were very much the exception to the fact of those were so cool and they had a certain aura around them. Will they be coming out in 2015? It's hard to know, but one thing's for certain, they'd planned on doing 12 trade nights in 2014, and they didn't do that. There was barely, I think there was maybe 2 or 3 in each location, so there wasn't too many. That's why they started randomly just popping them out in stores at the end of the year. So the year of the Eaches really kicked in, and we saw loads of Eaches, and I think that's going to continue on into the future. At the Imagination Gala, they showed off lots of new sets coming out in 2015. 101 Dalmatians, Peter Pan, the Designer Series, Park 15 and 16. There's loads of sets coming out, and still a lot more sort of Eaches and sort of holiday-themed figures. But one thing that's been very noticeable with 2014 was Disney Store have really kind of pulled back out of the Vinylmation sort of market. They used to they were producing way too many. They produced literally like a dozen non-Disney sets, such as superheroes, myths and legends, wrestlers, and they essentially overfilled their stores with so much stock that nobody wanted, because nobody really wanted all these sets of 12 figures of un-Disney stuff. They ended up filling up the stores, getting reduced, and I still think to this day that all of those sets had a knock-on effect to the Disney Store. Said, well, these things aren't selling, they're not profitable, we don't want to stock them anymore. Because throughout the year, gradually, we have just seen the Disney Store pulling back. There's been less product in the stores, less product just going out to Disney stores as a whole. They're not releasing as many sets as they used to. For example, like some of the Disney artists like Enrique Peter and Nacho Rodriguez, they're not showing us as many previews because I don't think they're working on as many things. General Mendez, they're not showing us the new sets coming in, because they were the only way we were used to be getting our information about upcoming sets. But this year they've really sort of feels like they've pulled back, and Disney aren't releasing as many Vinylmations in their stores. They're still popping up online. I don't think DisneyStore.com is getting enough of each new release, because it's all retracted back to the parks. It's gone back to where it started from, very much centric around the theme parks, and that's where you can get them from. And DisneyStore.com seems to be still getting doesn't seem to be getting the full edge, like, for example, the Marvel set that came out last week. There's still I think it was a few hundred maybe went online, where the majority of them still went to the parks, which is slightly unfair, I think, on the collectors that aren't near the parks. I still think that they need to address that. If they're going back to parks pretty much all the time without going to stores, they're going to need to up their Disney Store stock. Which that brings us back to another thing, because everything's it seems like the Disney Store have just like pulled back and said, we're not bringing out as many sets anymore. We're not getting as much. I can understand, they want to go back to the parks, but because of all of this, it feels as a whole that the Vinylmation has almost been put on the back burner, or they've had some of the pressure pulled off, because they're not promoting it. They're not promoting it as much on the Disney Park blog. The official website is now only getting one update a month with all the new releases. We used to get 360 images, and we used to be told all about stuff things in advance. The last few months, it was getting to the point of we were literally just waiting until the Friday, and then finding out from people in the store that stuff was coming out. They just stopped advertising. The official Facebook page for Vinylmation hasn't been updated since August. It's just that overall, the feeling is they've pulled back. Custom artists, the official custom artists, there doesn't seem to be as many in 2014 being sold. Many of the sort of older sort of artists like Noah, etc., we haven't seen that many customs from them this year. They used to be presenting lots of different ones coming out. I know Miss Mindy has been doing her live ones at the events, which have been seen to be doing really well. But in general, that's another side of things that Disney on a whole just seems to have just pulled back from Vinylmation. Now, some people might be saying, well, if they keep pulling back and they're retracting everything, is Vinylmation dead? Is Vinylmation going? I don't think Vinylmation isn't dead. It's not dying. It's just the fact that it's retracted. It's gone back to its core roots. It's back into being a very small niche. As long as Disney can make money on it, they're still going to be doing them. They're still going to be available in stores. However, the frequency of releases does feel like it's slowing down. Going into 2015, we still have lots of new releases. For example, if I bring up here the list of figures coming out this month, we still have a couple of more releases yet to come in December. We have the Pain and Panic set, Flotsam and Joseph. We have some eaches there. But if we look actually at the overall calendar, sort of moving forward, there is still lots of figures still left that come that we know about. We know, for example, that we've got a couple of Star Wars eaches. We've got some more twin packs from Villainous Duos. We have a Gravity Falls twin pack. We also have Mickey's short series. We have Star Wars Juniors. We have Star Wars Series 5 Avengers sets. We also have Pirates of the Caribbean. We have Part 15, 16. We also have the Designer series, Peter Pan, 101 Dalmatian, and the Cinderella series. So there's lots coming out next year. However, it seems to be quite noticeable that already some of the figures that were supposed to have been out this side have been delayed. Now, we don't really know when any of those sets are coming out. Things have moved back. We've already seen some sets pushed back to next year already. It is a bit odd. There's no doubt about the fact that Vinylmation, if they are slowing things down, I don't necessarily disagree with the fact of them reducing the amount of releases. They've overburnt a lot of collectors, and I think that is one of the reasons for it. Now, I asked some people some questions about what was coming up, and so many people said they have been burnt by the amount of new releases, and they got turned off, sitting up in the morning and not being able to buy something online, or just having so much coming out at once that it just kind of put a whole sort of bug onto people. Let's have a look here at some other comments that came through. They like, people like the eaches, but the Drudge Conrad said this. The Drudge of 2012-13 pretty much pushed me from the hobby, and I pick up the occasional box. But a lot of people said they got burnt out. They got burnt out with too many releases. So I do think it is a great idea for Disney to pull it back. The animation is, I can't see it ever going back to the way it was back in 2012 with constant new releases. I think we are just going to see lots more single eaches releases. That seems to be working, so I can see that coming forward. I do wonder in terms of blind box series of, like this year next year we've got Cinderella, Peter Pan, and 101 Dalmatians. It does make you question how many sort of movie themed blind boxes can they keep churning out for the older ones, because they're going to start, there's only so many characters they can keep bringing out. But all the time they've got new movies coming out, like for example we got Inside Out, we got the new Star Wars 7 coming out next year. They can still make sets for those and tie them all in. But on a whole, I think 2014 it feels like the attraction has come in and it's made it a lot more compact and more neat, and things, maybe they're not as bad as it used to be, but going forward things are just in general a bit quieter. I know for myself, obviously with running VinylmationKingdom.com, I update news. Well, some days I used to be updating, news every day, and we used to have new information. We used to have, and now that that has dropped down. We get one update a month in the last 2 months, rather than having lots of stuff sporadically. So in general, I can feel the fact of how little now how much news I have to report on, because there aren't any out. For example, this month there's no blind box series out, so that there is no chasers, no variants, etc. that we know about. But looking at what was announced at the Imagination Gala, there's still lots of stuff coming up. Is everything going to appeal to everybody? Nope. So therefore you buy what you want. And now I do think Vinylmation has been sort of under attack from a lot of other brands. Disney have also sort of branched out to other sort of urban vinyls. The pop vinyls at the minute are extremely popular. You've got the mystery minis, they also do like the monies, and also you've got like Disney Infinity, and you've got lots of other ways. So money from people are spending on lots of different products. I know from personally that the pop vinyls and the Infinity are very popular with Vinylmation collectors, because it appeals to everything, and that's kind of one of the things that we do on the website, where we do look at basically a lot more Disney vinyl. If it's to do with vinyl, we do look into it now, because the audience has shown us that they are interested in other types of vinyl that are Disney related. So that's something that we've been very much sort of into, and you can see it on our website of why we are now reporting on a lot more other kinds of stuff other than Vinylmation, because with less releases and less overall items taking place, there is demand, and quite often, especially some of the new stuff from Funko is doing a lot better. However, we're still a Vinylmation site, and that's still our primary core to what we're about. So it's we're not changing what we are doing, but we're just looking at other options. Now going forward, Vinylmation is looking like 2015 is going to continue that trend of everything that took place in 2014 is going to carry on. I'm not too sure about the trade nights. I think they'd be silly not to carry on with those very small limited edition releases. I think that will be good, but whether or not we see that in the future, who knows. But one thing for certain, 2015 is going to be full of new releases, lots of stuff coming out, and I think that's an overall shows you that there's still things coming out, and there's still an overall expectation from collectors. However, I do think that 2014 has slowed down, and that might be for the best for the hobby as an overall. For it to continue, it had to change, and I think that's the best thing really going forward. But I want to know, what do you guys think of Vinylmation in 2014 as a whole? Send us in, you can send us via email, send it on Facebook, comment on the comments below if you're on the YouTube channel. And I'm basically correlating sort of lots of people's reviews, and I'm going to be putting up their thoughts sort of in the Christmas period. And because I want to know what you guys think. Everyone's got their opinions, and everyone should share them. So pop them in the comments below, drop them on our Facebook group, etc. Let me know, what do you guys think of Vinylmation in 2014 as a whole? What was your favourite set? What did you didn't like? Where do you think it's going? Anything is free. It's an open question. You can say what you want. Anyway, guys, just wanted to let you and remind you, you hit that subscribe button if you're on YouTube, if you're on iTunes as well. Remember to hit this button. You can check us out on all of our social medias. We have Twitter, Instagram, etc. But on a whole, thank you very much for watching. There will be another show next week, and we've got a couple of new releases next week, thankfully. And like I said, we've just gone through the release schedule for next week. We've got 2 new twin packs for the Villainous Duos. We also have the new Eaches at Walt Disney World and also Disneyland for 2015. So I'll be back next week with some more information on all the latest Vinylmation news. Again, thank you very much for watching. As you can see, I'm very festive with the Christmas tree on, and I can't quite see it, but I have actually got a little elf outfit on, just to kind of, it's Christmas. Okay, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I shall see you guys soon.